Unit 2C, Lesson 5, Parameters of Functions. We've discussed this in the past. Given a situation, some type of story problem, we want to determine what the variables or certain values in that problem represent in terms of that specific problem. The first example, a car leaves Albany, New York and travels west toward Buffalo, New York. The equation d equals 280 minus 59t can be used to represent the distance d from Buffalo after t hours. In this equation, the 59 represents the car's distance from Albany, the speed of the car, distance between Buffalo and Albany, or the number of hours driving. So we're looking at the 59 right now. That's being multiplied by the variable t, which represents time. This equation should look somewhat familiar. You've used equations in the past in physical science earlier this year. Distance equals rate times time. Okay, it's in a slightly different form because we have a distance we're working with, and that distance is getting smaller as we go because the vehicle's traveling towards Buffalo. The 59 being multiplied by the time, that's referring to a rate. And in this case, if we're talking about a rate, that has to represent the rate of the car, the speed of the car. The 280 represents how many miles Albany is from Buffalo. That distance is going to decrease by the speed of the car multiplied by the number of hours the car is driven. Okay, so the 280, that represents the distance between the two cities. The 59 represents the rate or the speed of the car. We're subtracting here because that rate is going towards the city, which means the distance is decreasing, getting smaller. So the correct choice would be number 2 if I get this highlighted, number 2. The next example, a company that manufactures radios first pays a startup cost and then spends a certain amount of money to manufacture each radio. If the cost of manufacturing R radios is given by the function C of R is equal to 5.25 R plus 125, then the value 5.25 best represents the startup cost, the profit earned from the sale of one radio, the amount spent to manufacture each radio, or the average number of radios manufactured. Okay, so we have our equation. It's in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So we have our slope and we have our y-intercept. We're trying to determine what 5.25 the slope represents in this problem. Well, I think the easiest value to determine is the 125. That represents the initial amount or the startup cost in this case. So it can't be choice number 1. This is talking about a rate that's going to reference how much they have to spend to manufacture each radio, because this represents the cost to the company. That includes the initial cost and the cost per radio. So it would be choice number 3, the amount spent to manufacture each radio. Example 3, the cost of belonging to a gym can be modeled by C of M equal to 50M plus 7950, where C of M is the total cost for M months of a membership. State the meaning of the slope and the y-intercept of this function with respect to the costs associated with the gym membership. Okay, so we have our equation C of M representing the total cost for this membership given however many months you stay at the gym. M represents the number of months at the gym. So we have 50 as our slope and 7950 as the y-intercept. So we're trying to determine what's the slope mean, what's the y-intercept mean. So the 7950, that's going to represent a standard fee that you have to go to that gym. Okay, so it's an initial fee they have just to gain membership into that gym. And then the $50, that's going to be per month. Okay, say you rent a locker there and that's part of that $50 that you have each month to also stay in that gym. So the $79.50 represents the initial amount to become a member at that gym. The $50 is the rate per month that you stay at the gym. So to recap that, the $79.50 is the initial cost to get the membership. The $50 is the cost per month to keep the membership for things like locker and equipment use. So in the next example, the function v of t is equal to 1,350 times the quantity 1.017 raised to the t represents the value v of t in dollars of a comic book t years after its purchase. The yearly rate of appreciation of the comic book is, so we need to determine the rate. One thing we can do to determine that rate is rewrite this function as v of t equal to our $1,350 and then 1 plus 0.017 raised to the t. So what might help? Separating this value into 1 plus. Now, if we want to convert this back to a percent, we move our decimal 2 places to the right. So the correct answer would be 1.7%. That's how much the value of this comic book goes up each year. Now to the last example. The equation A equals 1,300 times 1.02 raised to the 7th is being used to calculate the amount of money in the savings account. What does 1.02 represent in this equation? Just like the last problem, it might help to rewrite this, break it apart as 1 plus 0.02 raised to the 7th. Now we can see our rate, which if we want to convert that to a percent, move the decimal 2 places. So this would represent 2% growth. It's not going to be decay, it's growth because this value is greater than 1.